Welcome to live answer time for September 14th, 2024. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Rob. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Are you anywhere near the giant wildfire?
No, thankfully we're spared this time, but you never know.
Good.
You never know.
Well, let's see. You have a specific question for us to look at.
Yes, I would love to have you explain if and how this can be done, where you can create a spotted jacket. Uh, I thought I could modify the camouflage material, but I'm clueless. I went in there and poked around, and I just said I don't know what I'm doing.
Let's take a look at these samples you've posted here. Let's see. Okay, are these leopard skins showing?
Yes, they are.
As I look at this, I noticed that the real leopard skin has a kind of like a pentagonal pattern to it, we might say. And it also has these very obvious channels of the light color, and they don't seem to have picked up on that in the artificial one.
Yes,
It's kind of like I noticed they have like about 4 variations of this splotch, and they've stamped those around kind of randomly. And they're almost there. But they are correct that there are 3 colors we have to try and accommodate for. Sometimes, it almost looks like a little paw print that
right.
someone has made sometimes. And sometimes the black parts are so large that you don't see the center brown part. That's interesting. And then on the imitation,
Yeah, they only have two colors.
They just have
the
2 colors, don't
background
they? Okay, yeah, I
and
just noticed that.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think the best would be to duplicate what you just said. The 3 colors looks the best,
Yeah.
if it's possible. I have no idea.
I've thought a little about this over the past 24 hours, and I'm getting more skeptical about whether we can do this or not. But let's. I think these channels are sort of key, and then if we could subdivide the islands in between them, that might get us something. If if this area were all solid colored, it'd be kind of like what a giraffe has with
Right.
these. So I wonder if it's the same sort of coloration process going on in those creatures. Well, let's fire up Animation Master. And there we go. And let's let's make you sent a sample project. Let's look at that.
I did,
Spots.
and
Okay.
it has the jacket and it has the camouflage.
So this has this looks like a material you started yourself, right? Material 1.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly,
And
everything's way too small.
we could probably let's just try scaling that, and let's go into. I'll go to the
Okay.
instance in the model, and let's just try a scale. Let's just see what happens if we make it 10 times larger. That's still very small. Let's try it 10 times larger than that.
Oh,
There
now
we
you're
go.
starting to get something there.
So there we've got
Wow.
spots. We've got kind of spots, and I think we could even make this larger. Let's try 50,000. That was too big. Let's go down to like 30,000. Oh, damn. 303. And I'm still not doing it right. Okay. Now we're sort of starting to see
Yeah.
channels.
Yeah.
I think you made a good choice in going for that cell turbulence combiner, because we're kind of seeing something kind of like these light
Yeah.
light channels here, and maybe we could do something like that. My first thing, I would like to make these channels sharper. Let's look at our in the material instance, and let's see what happens with the threshold. That makes everything, that sort of cuts, it makes the channels smaller, so that wasn't getting us anything. It made the dark spots bigger, I think. Let's go back to 10. What does 0 do? Yeah. Let's see, cellular noise. What happens if I increase the amplitude to 500? Okay, that got us just spots. So now the channels are very large, I guess. Let's try 200. 100. 150. No, that's making the channels larger, I guess. So 100 kind of looked appropriate. How can we make those stronger? Threshold. There's fewer dots. That's not what we wanted. Something when we were talking about this previously, I forget, what were we talking about the last time we were talking about a material?
We were using the cloud materials and the
okay.
FBM, or
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of had approximated an animal skin.
I noticed that the amplitude seemed to behave differently when it's in a cell turbulence from when it's in a
Yeah.
combiner, and it seemed to be a little bit more useful. Let's threshold. I'm just dragging this threshold larger and larger. You probably can't see that on
Yeah.
the screen capture, but I'm just dragging it with
No,
my mouse.
it's turning the jacket black.
Yeah. So threshold, I always have difficulty understanding what threshold does. Let's see, threshold. Threshold seems to be increasing sort of like the amount of the pattern that reaches the bottom level, or the black level. So if I made that stronger, and then made the amplitude stronger, this is so. This is
different turbulence.
Yeah. Well, let's try that. Let's look at some of the other. No, that's plated, ridged. This one might, if we could get. Let's see. This is getting us a little bit more of that polygonal look that the cheetah valleys had, the cheetah channels. Is that, what kind of animal is that? Is that a cheetah? It's a leopard skin. Okay.
Leopard.
Do cheetahs have spots? What do they got?
I think they do. I'm thinking of that Cheetos character. He's got spots, doesn't he? The cartoon.
Who is that?
Cheetah. the Cheetos lion or tiger,
The
whatever.
yeah,
I guess
the
I use
Cheetos cheetah.
cheetah.
I remember that. I remember him as being orange. I
Let me
don't
see.
remember if he had spots or not. Hard edge. Oh, here, look at this.
I'm gonna look at it.
Hard edge. Okay, this is the kind of channels I think we were kind of hoping for. Huh. So let's go back to 100 here.
Yes, he does have spots. I just looked it up.
Okay. What's he called? What's his name? Is Cheetah or
I just put in Cheetos cheetah,
okay.
and then it came up. And they just have. It's very simple. The pattern on them is very simple. Not as
Yeah.
cool as it could be.
Well, that was a hand animated thing, so I bet they went for the simplest pattern they could get.
Yeah, he's 3D now.
Oh,
They moved him into the 3D world.
well, that's how long since I've watched television, I guess. Or eaten Cheetos. I remember he used to be a 2D character.
Oh,
Okay, these
they're
are the kind
addictive.
of these are the kind of channels I think we're kind of looking for. Now, if we could find a way to subdivide these spots, we'd be there. Let's just look at some of these other combiners here. Crystal, possibly. Rounder. That looks so. I think was Rounder the one you started out. You had started out with webbed. There's webbed. Okay, Rounder looks like a variation of webbed. Different
It
different
looks
intensity.
like Cheetos. That's the kind of stuff he has.
And threshold. I guess that one
So I'll
depends
look and see
upon.
if he has.
Oh, look at this. Here's threshold. This is a more severe transition between the parts. Are you planning to make this the basis for driving hair color?
No, just a jacket. I just thought it'd be cool to have
So you
like
just want the
a
surface
leopard
color.
skin jacket. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh huh.
Because, you could use this to drive the colors of the hairs and you'd have this little
Oh, right. That would
tufted
be
look.
wild.
But let's if we can get the coloration here, I think we'll be on our way. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, let's say this was threshold. Um, how big is this thing? About my gosh, this thing is like
By the way,
2,000.
the character's name is Chester Cheeto.
Chester Cheeto. Okay,
Or Cheetah, I should say.
that's a little bit less on the nose than Cheetah, the Cheetos Cheetah. But I bet that came up in a focus group. Let's call it Cheetah. Um, Now this jacket is quite a bit larger than life size. Is that intentional or just
No, it's just I got it off of some model.
okay? Because it's like 3,000 centimeters tall. That's big.
Oh,
Um,
it's a big guy.
let's let's make a flat plane as the basis for our model. Let's see. Let's start an object and
What size would you say should that jacket normally be?
well,
Uh,
a meter would already be large for the length of a jacket, right? I mean, how long is an arm? Is like
right.
maybe
I see. I
two
see.
feet.
Just use real world. I see.
I
Use real world parameters. I get.
typically, yeah. Although I've certainly gone off the far end. Well, you just start throwing splines around on your drawing place, and you don't really pay attention to the 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 units. I'm guilty of that many times, and I'll end up with something that's infinitesimally tiny compared to what it was supposed to be. And then I've gone and made a material on it, and then when I scale thing to real size, it doesn't make sense anymore. But let's make something a meter by a meter grid. So 100 centimeters, 100 centimeters. I really wanted that to be forward facing. There we go. So here's the front view. Which way are my normals facing? And I got them backwards. So flip. There we go. I don't think the normal direction will matter for this, but so let's put this material we've got here onto. I gotta have room to drag that. Close that. Here we go. Let's just call it cheetah. And now this will probably be, it's still too small for this thing, so let's scale this up. I'm wondering, should I do it in the material or should I do it here in the model? This will be a simple scale. Oh wait, let's just do it here in the model. Okay, that's probably too large for a meter, so let's go down to 500. That might be appropriate. Okay, so we've got something that kind of looks like our larger valleys. Let's switch the color around. Yeah, let's make this one something closer to our. No, this one's actually going to be the darker color. So I'll make that dark. And the black one is the one that we should have lighter. So let's make this a. Can we make a tan? I wish we had an eyedropper in this request, this dialog, so we could just pick a color off the screen or off some photo we have, but we don't have that.
I think you can click on that. Can't you click on that gradient? I think if you click on the gradient, it will pick that color.
If I, well, that will work. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want to. I like if I had the actual photo of the leopard skin here. I wish I could just pick a color off of that. Can I cancel out of that? There we go. So now we have a giraffe. Mission accomplished. Bye. Right. Let's see. Okay. If we right now we've just got 1 octave in our material. If we set it up to 2, this will get more complex. Let's see what happens if we go to 2. So that has made the valleys more complex, and it's left these things. I wanted to make these ones more complex. So that's
yeah, absolutely.
How can I? How about if I? That was exactly what I didn't want. It really would have been great if it would have made these more complicated, but
right.
What do I get with 3? Yep, just more of that. Now it's made the valleys inside the valleys more complicated. So let's go back to 1. Let's take a look at what was the other one that worked. Ridged.
Was it webbed? No. Was it webbed?
Okay, now that one makes the dark spots more complicated. Are these the same?
Slightly bigger.
Are these the same pattern? Okay, they appear to be. That was ridged. What was the other? There's another one that seemed to be a hard edge.
The webbed? No.
Webbed was the kind of roundish spots that you started with. I'm changing the threshold here. Ridged. I'm changing the amplitude here. Now we're getting more definite spots by making the amplitude larger. Let's go back to threshold. Let's go back to 100 here. Let's go back our there we go. We had about 10 for our threshold. Okay, what if we made this thing made this thing another combiner? We want to get some kind of pattern inside these dark spots. So let's change this one. I'm going to do a save first. Leopard spots 002. You had a question?
No, I was going to say, how do you do that? How do you add make that interior more have more variation?
Hi, Roger.
So you're going to the attribute.
Hello, Roger.
Sorry, I'm late.
We're looking at making leopard skin with Tom here.
Oh, okay.
We're trying to make a material that gets us something. This would be ideal. This would be good enough. And this is sort of the compromise in between artist version. So we're trying to figure out how to break these center things up, much as these little islands are broken up. We've noticed that there are these channels of light color that sort of go through the real skin. They haven't really captured that in the artificial one. And then there's this additional breakup inside the islands between those channels. And so if we could make a combiner here, let's just turn this thing to another combiner. Turbulence. Okay. And let's try another cell turb. And so right now this thing has two null attributes. So let's try changing. I'm just going to pick crazy colors so we can distinctly tell the difference between them. And make this red. Okay, so there's the cell turbulence peeking through what used to be the brown spots. And that's starting out as webbed as its default. Let's go to ridged. And notice how it is sort of matching the pattern of that. Yeah. So that's possibly helpful. But if I turn the octaves up, what are we gonna have? Ooh, now, okay, that got us something.
It's kind of what we're looking for, that interior.
Yeah. Point density. There's 0. There's 100. What does Euclidean distance do? It's something to do with how the little canals are connecting themselves. But we'll just remember that option. Okay, so 1 gets us the same pattern basically with slightly different colors. 2 for octaves gets us a Oh, okay. The original one was threshold. That's the one that didn't change the spots when we upped the octaves. Ridged, what if we go to threshold here? That leaves us with almost solid spots. So let's go back to ridged. Let's just try them all. Webbed. Plated. Nope. Ridged is our leading candidate so far. Hard edge. Ooh. If we play with the threshold on this, will we get something? If we change these pink things to black, or no, the interior spots are a slightly darker brown. Am I just imagining it? Maybe
Well,
this is this
no,
the same
a
color
little.
as this?
They're orangish in orange brown.
Yeah, they're a little darker
I'd say
inside
the
here.
interiors are orange brown.
Yeah, they are a slightly darker shade. So let's bite the bullet. Okay, this green corresponds to the black outer portions. So let's change this to nearly black. I'm going to make it not quite black. And this corresponds to the not as dark as the valley, or not as light as the valley, but nearly so. I am going to, where did I have my other color? Here we go. I'm going to make that, if I use my direction keys, I can move my selector down to, oops, if I use the tab key, there we go. Oh, I passed it up. Now I can use the cursor keys to move that to a blank spot, and I can press this add to custom color, and I have that stored there. So when I go to this thing, I can start with that color and make something a little darker. Let's try that. These orangish ones are too big. Can we, let's start adjusting the ratios on our, let's see, point density. 5, there's 0. Let's go back to 100. Threshold. That's if I amplitude up. If I make this like 1,000. That doesn't seem to be changing much. Let's try 50,000. No, that's not affecting our colors in here. This is a pretty sorry leopard pattern, but let's make this a little less.
Yeah, I was gonna say that leopard's got some health issues.
Yeah. But if we get far enough away from it, it starts to look better. I think our cream colored valleys are probably too big. Let's go back to that combiner. And what happens if we do a well, 100 is our maximum there. What does 50 get us? Nope. Okay, that made the valleys, a higher threshold made the valleys bigger, so let's go lower. There's 10. Let's try 5. Let's try 7. That's starting to look a little bit better. This looks like a very severe pattern. If this were driving hair, it would look soft enough, I think it would look. Let's just try it. Let's see what happens if we put hair on this. Let's see. That's our pattern. That looks like something a tortoise might have. But let's do a save. And I think if we just put a hair material on that, the color of the surface by default will drive the hair. So let's make a new material. Change the attribute to particle system hair. I'll close this preview. Let's put this on here. Cheetah. Let's see what we got. Let's see if we can make it just fall flat down. Hair emitter, hair system. Let's turn on dynamics. Oh, there we go. Let's make it shorter. Length 10 centimeters. That's obviously. Let's make it 2. Let's make the density. Let's ramp up the density here. Density 500. I don't think we're getting our color change. Let's see.
I was going to say, I just went and checked the colors on the actual photos. The interior is 186, 12179. I don't know if that'll make a difference by changing that.
Let's see. I'm not seeing black hairs. Why am I not seeing black hairs in this? Let's try it. I'm going to change the black to a crazy color just to... Change to red. No, we're not getting any red colored hairs here. Why not? Let me try loading this into V19, just see if there's a different behavior. Here is V19. And I've got to turn on here. Nope, we're not getting maybe it has to be a decal. I'm uncertain about that. Let's try one more try.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Maybe it needs to be a bitmap.
Emitter. this surface is not set to a specific color, then it should be taking the surface color of the object. But it's not doing that right now. Well, let's go back to V 19.5 and see if we can refine our pattern at least. I'll turn here off. Let's go back to our, what did you say the color of these valleys were?
The interior, well, this would be inside the spots,
Oh, okay.
is 186, 12179. And then I'll give you the exteriors.
186,
in a second.
121. Come on, 186.
12179. 79. Okay, and then the exterior channels were 233.
Oops.
Two 209 173.
Okay, well, that looks. I think we've got them backwards.
Okay, and then we need
Let's. This was the interior spot. This is the. Was this supposed to be the valleys? The 233, 209, 173.
yes, I think so. I
Okay.
think that's supposed to
So
be
I'll put that back. I'll change
exterior
this
edges.
to black
And
temporarily.
then one of them, yeah, that's it. There you go. Now that's, I think that's close.
Okay, what were these valleys again? 233?
233, 209, 173.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I think it's getting it.
So,
That's not bad.
look at see if they're trying
If
to
we can make
simulate the
valleys
little,
just a little.
simulate the hair, little tufts of hair, but they really don't seem to be. I don't think they're doing that here. The actual leopard skin has. Let's see if I can get. Let's compare these. Obviously, these black spots are rounder than what we have here, and they tend not to join with each other. They tend to have a little bit of this dark spot separating them.
Is there any way we can bring up the black? Is there whatever that parameter is? Can we make it more of it?
When you say more, what do you mean?
Bigger versions of the black in there. I think
Okay.
if we did that, it would be very, very close to what we're shooting for.
Okay, let's look at our interior combiner here. It's this one. If
Okay.
we make the threshold lower, okay, that's making them less. So we need the full threshold. Doesn't make them any bigger. What happens if we increase the octaves? This will get. Nope, that didn't help us there either. Point density. Nope, I think 100 is our best bet there. Let's try a different combiner again. Threshold. Let's see. That's changing the threshold. This gets us a more defined center spot.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's getting good.
I'm not sure
It's
if we could get the center spot to break out to the edge and divide these dark areas. Um, hmm.
yeah, that's starting to look pretty good, I think.
It's
At least, your first impression of seeing it.
except which one was I changing here? Okay, I am doing the interior one. Let's revisit the combiner at the top level. I like the softer look of the valleys here, but other than that,
Yeah. Yeah.
crystal, rounder. Some of these have more correlation with each other than others. I mean, like, notice in this version, when you have two thresholds, we have a clearly defined spot inside the bigger spot in most cases, which is kind of good. If we,
Yes. It looks pretty darn good.
let's see, if we could get that with this rounders thing, that would be, that might be. I'm changing the threshold now. It's unconvincing right now, I would say. Say webbed, plated, nope. Ridged. Ooh. Let's see. We've already tried ridged, but if I go. One of you is breathing into a microphone.
Probably me.
Let's see. Now this gets us a slightly more organic look to the center spot. Can we make it a more, let's see. If I go to if I reduce the amplitude, the distinction between the two colors becomes less. If I increase it, we get more of that center color. It looks better the farther away you get from it. I would like to have softer valleys here, and the ridged gets us softer valleys. The threshold always gives us hard edges. Let's see if we can tone these down. If I amp up the amplitude here, we're getting more defined valleys. Can we make them? That's 0 threshold, huh? Which did you prefer, the really hard valleys or the softer ones?
There's both have their pluses and minuses.
Yeah.
I kind of like what you're doing now. If we could bring up the spots just a little more.
You make these
starting to look
bigger.
like a leopard skin. It really is.
Let's
The
big spots bigger or the spots within the spots bigger?
Well, I think like some of them don't. It's all yellow. It's all almost white yellow.
Yeah.
If we could bring spots up in more of them, I think we've got it. That exceeds my expectations of what we were going to get today.
This is, this is probably a fundamental problem of this combiner. Let's see. Okay, I've got amplitude 400. If I make this, let's just see, 5,000. Oh, okay, there we go. Now we have very skinny. Notice that even though I moved the crank the amplitude way up, we still have this big thing happening in the middle of this section. I don't have good words to describe these things. I'm not sure. I guess we could call this a facet. So this is some kind of, and we have one happening right here. And we could, what if we just translated this thing? I'll translate it on the model. Like, remember I showed you that when we translated something on the z direction, pushing a material through this plane, we kept getting different patterns. Let's just see if we get a more pleasing random result by, where the hell is our model? Here's the objects, here's the card, here's the, let's just translate it on z 1 centimeter. That got us nothing. I'm going to go back to 0 here. 10. There we go. If I did 50, it should be. Sometimes, okay, this looks like that kind of got rid of most of those things.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to hunt for a felicitous number to stick in here that translates the material to some point where you don't have the error you don't want to see. That's been very true of the clouds that I've been making. I just sort of have to hunt through the giant pattern to find a few clouds that I actually want to look at. Right now our valleys are too small.
It's just, other than that, it's looking pretty darn good.
Let's try. I think this amplitude is what gave us the. Okay, there we go. If we make this, the amplitude is changing the size of these valleys and the big spots. If we go to 100, we have very loosely defined islands and valleys. If I go down to 0, it'll all be, I think that's one color. It's 50, 100, 500, 1,000.
That one's pretty good.
And now
that looks pretty darn good.
Let's. I think this interior color should be a little bit lighter. Let's move that up a bit. And let's make it less saturated. Oh, now that's looking like purple, isn't it? Let's go back. I should have saved that color. Okay. This outside color I think should probably be a more blackish. It's looking kind of brownish itself, so let me mess that one up too. That's pretty close to black already, isn't it? Make it more neutral. If this were a production situation in a studio, you could probably get someone to program. There's probably some algorithm that can be made to because the combiners we have are getting pretty close. I think if you could get the subdivision of these, if we could get, we have big channels here, and then it's like there's another channel going all the way through there and through there. And if we're so close to that, I'm wondering why can't we get, let's go back to our secondary combiner.
Now, are you making these changes on the material itself or the material on the model?
I did the translation on the model. The other stuff I'm doing on the material here. So the material
Okay.
is fairly straightforward. I think I've been doing that. I'm pretty sure I've been doing that.
Okay.
But it's easy to get confused and make a change, and then you don't know where you are. If we could
Yeah,
get
it looks. Yeah, you're under material.
these things more obvious, let's just. Nope. Nope. I'm going to go back to ridged. Okay, this is the most satisfactory one so far. Would we agree on that?
I think so.
I'll do a save. Let's 5. So we've got that one saved. Let's start. Let's monkey with this and see how we can improve these center spots. If I crank up, if I reduce the threshold, that is making the lighter interior color bigger. If I increase the threshold, we finally get to the part where there's some continuous lines, but now this stuff is too big. Let's see, if I increase the amplitude, that made that very big. I'm changing the threshold right now. Ridged. I'm changing the threshold again. How about if I had, let's say, what if this area were further a combiner that split that up? Let's say that these interior spots are about right, but we want to split this thing up. So this is the dark color. If I change the dark color into yet another combiner, to combiner, turbulence, and we'll do cell turb again, I think. I'll go with cell turb. Okay. It needs a dark component. I'm going to make crazy colors first just so we can see. Okay, so I want to try and get straightish lines. Oops. Okay. I'm raising the amplitude right now. The green element has completely disappeared from the pattern here. Let's just do something crazy. Let's change this to a different, something that may not have it. I need a combiner, turbulence. Let's just try one of the if we just drew random lines around those inside spots, if we if I made this smaller, this appears unproductive. I was hoping we could get something that would just kind of draw lines through this stuff. Just type 2 combiner. I think the cell turbulence is probably our most likely candidate for that. I want these kind of values within these spots is what I would like to get. And the threshold ridged makes the big values. If I make it 3 octaves, if I make it 2, here's a case where we're kind of getting the center color. Let's just try turning this green to the light brown. No. The green, not
This is a black, right?
the green should be the black. But it's the light color I want piercing the black. So this is actually backwards from what I want, isn't it?
I think we might be getting cut off pretty soon.
Yeah.
But if we do, would you post what you're doing as a project? I'd like to look at it closer.
Yeah. I'll post a couple of these, not so good. Well, let's just try setting a color here. Let's try this one, I guess, is the outer color, so we'll make this black. And this other one is supposed to be the lighter color. It should be the same as this one. Here's where I wish I could just pull a color off there. Well,
Ooh,
it's
it's looking good. It's looking
kind
pretty
kind
good.
of it's on the road
would
to
say
being
that-
kind of something like that.
Yeah.
I think this would benefit if we could actually
Now,
drive
if you-
hair color with this.
If you applied that to a model and it turned out to be too small, how would you increase the size of the material? Is there a way to do that easily, or do you have to go to every parameter and increase every parameter?
No, you can do that. Here, I'll just do it. It's right now we have that sitting on this card, and let's say that was too small or too large for this card.
Right.
I'll go to the instant. I'll go to the instance of the material in the model, and we can just do. I already have the thing
Okay.
scaled here, so it's 500.
I see.
So if we wanted to make it larger, I could put the 1,000 here instead,
Yeah.
and that makes it
cool.
larger, and everything else scales with it. And it can also get
Very good.
confusing because, of course, we have this scale on the model. In the material, each one of these turbulence combiners has an option to be scaled, and sometimes there are times when you want to change the scale of just one of the combiners. We haven't done that here. There might be some way to get closer to this thing we're looking for here, but a real material
Well, I'd
whiz
say you
might
had a
be able to
success
do it.
there, Rob.
It's
That's darn
it's
good. That's a darn good leopard.
better than I was expecting, not as good as I'd hoped, but we'll declare victory for that. Any last minute Animation Master problems or questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Good project, Tom. That was interesting to try. I wish I had gotten closer to our ideal, but perhaps I'll post this, and perhaps you can research it further and you'll come up with a solution. Good talking to both of you guys.
Sounds good.
I'll see you next week. So long.
You guys have
Take it easy.
a great week. Bye now.
Bye.